So then the next two pages, or two tabs, I should say, get a little bit more, go with the flow, if you would. These are the dining. I have food/meal tab options, and then also miscellaneous. So dining, you'll see we have estimates here, and then per person actual. You're going to treat this file a little bit different. You're going to put your estimates here for planning, and you're going to total down here, and we'll get to that in a second. But then on your actual, I'm actually recommending that you use that as a running list. So maybe keep your receipts while you're there, list them out. And then next time you're planning, you'll have a more accurate example or a more accurate budget of what you might actually use. So this can be a couple of different things. I'm sure you're wondering why I didn't include the dining plan. When I was doing this, the dining plan wasn't back. So I may be adding that in, and that could be a good comparison for you. So you can list all of your options and then compare it to a dining plan. However, it really depends on your needs. So I actually think it's better to create your estimate based on what you want and then compare it to a dining plan, if that makes sense. So down below, there's actually a bunch of different tips. Expense buckets to consider, which is each meal individually. Groceries, we like to either bring down groceries or also go to the store while we're down there, get gallons of water to refill in bottles, snacks, drinks, and tips as well. So I've included an estimated tip calculator here. This actually populates in these formulas down here. So one thing I've included in here is an explanation of why, and I'll actually make this bigger. So food tends to be a very fluid thing. If you're hungry, you're going to eat, right? And you may be hungry before your scheduled reservation. So I've added a 10% just for extras to sort of pad your budget. So that's what this is down here. That's just to pad you for the just in case. So you may have planned for $236, but I'm buffering it 10% for you just so you're covered. Then you have a calculation for estimated total food and meal plus tip, and then all in. So the percent that you put here is going to populate your tip amount on the total. So it's a very rough, if you don't want to include a tip, you can set this to 0, and that won't populate in here. So those are just different things that you can use. And then again, the actual section will total. And if you list out, if you went to Ohana and you list your actual amount, and then your next one and your next one, it'll give you a more accurate for your next trip planning. And the same thing goes for miscellaneous. So miscellaneous is just that. I'm going to actually scroll down to the bottom because I give you some buckets to consider. When we're talking about miscellaneous expenses, we're talking about maybe toiletries or rentals like strollers and scooters, themed gear. Maybe you're planning to get shirts or ears, or maybe you're attending the Boo After Dark, which used to be Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, and you want to get costumes. So these are all things to consider. And then lastly, hot weather helpers. You know, everyone knows Florida is a very hot climate. So reusable cups, sunblock, extra hats, fans, cooling towels, all of those extras. If you're driving like we do, maybe there's activities to go when you're driving. And again, here, you list them out, give them estimates. Maybe if you want theme shirts for every day, you might want to list, and you're going for 7 days, theme shirts day 1, theme shirts day 2, etc. You might want to do the same if you're doing ears for every day, just to give yourself an estimate. And then you can use over here as a running total. And again, they populate down the bottom. All of these should be carried back over to your budget, and then you can update it as you go. So this budget page, as you're entering, you might say, okay, miscellaneous expenses, my all-in is, for argument's sake, say $500. Well, and miscellaneous expenses also include souvenirs. So you might want to have two buckets for miscellaneous. You may want to include miscellaneous souvenirs and then miscellaneous extras, right? So maybe you're allotting $200 for each. I'm making this up. And then as you go, you're finding, you know what, I'm actually buying more than I thought. So maybe you're increasing your extras to 300 because you've purchased more, just as an example. So this can be very fluid, but know that this will total down for you here. And if you've already had money saved, I think I mentioned before, you can enter that here. So if you have 500, it's going to deduct